Hey, so just checking in to make sure that you guys are doing okay because yesterday was a rough day energetically. Actually, the last kind of 3 days. I know many of you guys have been feeling it for longer, but there's been like this buildup of intensity of like these waves that just keep coming through. And our nervous systems are taking a really long time to acclimate and recover. And so yesterday it just felt like it was like 3 days in a row of like ascension waves just coming through. And it's been hard. And I know so many of you are still feeling the nausea and the anxiety and the pain and the not being able to sleep and all of the stuff. I know so many of you guys are doing that because you guys are letting us know, which is great, because the last thing that we want to do is when we're going through these ascension, when we're doing this upgrading energetically, is to be ashamed of it or afraid of it or worried about it. That's the really important stuff. So when we talk to each other about it and we say, yeah, you know what, that energy wave came through and it made me feel like this, it not only validates us that we're not crazy, but it also just, it kind of soothes us a little bit so that we know that, yeah, okay, it was making everybody feel like that, but it did pass, it did clear, and we did get better. So keep that in mind. And so one of the things that Spirit's talking to me about right now, and here's the thing about the whole ascension waves and what happened yesterday and what's still kind of happening today. I've been trying to ask them about it to see and they're not giving me anything again on it. So when they don't give me anything again on it, it's like they're busy, right? It's like there's shit happening on this planet, in the astral realm, in the darkness, in the light, in the stuff that we don't see with our 3D eyes. And it's affecting us, though. It's still affecting us, but because they're not giving me all of the juicy gossip about what's happening, we can just kind of take that and clear it off of our plate because we have other purposes. We're fulfilling other purposes right now. So getting stuck in the whole why, what, how, when, what, like the whole, of that doesn't serve us a purpose, and it's not using our energy or our light the way that we need to be doing it now, which again is, many of us are doing the grid work. Many of us we are clearing the frequencies. We are transmuting energies, right? We are holding space. So many are simply holding space and holding light. So here's the important thing about this, because part of that really, really important mission about holding the space and holding the light can get kind of jumbled up when we get these big frequencies that are coming through. Okay. So when these big frequencies come through, when we get these energetic waves that come through, remember, it's not just all light. I wish it was. I wish this was just, we were on the planet of light, where everything that came through was just for the goodness of our enlightenment, but it's not. It's just not. So we have to deal with the good and the bad. And thankfully, the light does counter the stuff when it comes through. Like when we're getting hit with the EMF waves, when they're messing with the solar flare energy, and it's all of that, right? We have the light countering that stuff, thankfully. But here's what happens. When these big energy waves come through, they activate the pathogens within the body. We have to understand this because this is really, really important. And yes, you can get into the whole, it was a psychic attack and it was coming from, and don't get lost in the details of this. Just simplify it for the sake of being able to continue to function in the way that you need to function. Okay. So when these big light or dark energy waves come through, they activate the pathogens in our body. So we have viruses, we have parasites, we have bacteria, we have heavy metals, we have all of these things in our body. And when these energy systems come in, they become activated. So that means that any kind of physical weakness that you have in your body, any of your systems that are weaker, will be affected by this. So you will feel it. So if you're prone to pain in your joints, you're going to feel that. If you're prone to headaches, you're going to feel that. If you have a very sensitive nervous system, then you're going to feel that. I don't know anybody on this planet right now who's an empath who doesn't have a sensitive nervous system. But anyways, you're going to feel all of that. Now, what's been happening with this latest cycle is it has been activating the fear within all of us. And so Spirit wants us to feel into how fear is dictating or navigating our experiences. Now, they wanted me to just clarify a couple things with you guys because there can be some easy confusion, right? So when we talk about the vibration of fear, it carries a certain vibration. It's not just one single frequency, it's multiple frequencies in that particular vibration. Now, when I say the word fear to you, lots of people think, oh, it means afraid, that I'm weak, or I'm crying, or I'm scared. It's not always that. It can be that, but it's not always that. It's much deeper. It's the same thing. So if I say to you guys, and this is interesting how we can kind of comprehend this, but if I say to you guys, what is the frequency of love? Right? Many of you guys would say, well, it's all encompassing. It's, makes me feel calm and peaceful and I have clarity. Like you can see how you can expand on the frequency of love, right? Because it encompasses all of that stuff. But many of us are having a hard time encompassing the whole meaning, the whole vastness of what fear means, what the vibration of fear means within our particular experience. So Spirit wants us to feel into this because they want us to find out where fear is showing up in your experience. What is triggering the fear response? What is triggering the way that you're expressing the fear frequencies, right? This is really important. So remember, fear can show up as apprehension. Fear can show up as being irritable. Fear can show up as blaming, right? Finger pointing, that's fear. Fear can show up as jealousy. Fear can show up as victim energy. Fear can show up as lack energy. Fear can show up as confusion, right? Lack of clarity. Holding patterns, right? Stagnant energy, feeling stuck, feeling worthless, low self-esteem, right? All of this stuff is in the vibration of fear, right? You can see how all-encompassing it is. So when these waves are coming through and we are getting activated, right, in the way that we need to because we're ascending, those frequencies within us that we still hold need to be transformed, right? They don't just disappear. We don't just go, okay, light come in, we're not watching like, a comic book movie. It's not and it's funny because I feel like there's so many shows out there that depict how spiritual enlightenment happens, but it doesn't just happen like that. It's a process. We have to work through it. It doesn't just, we drink this magic potion or rub this magic crystal and poof, we become enlightened. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. We have to process all of this stuff. There's a difference between processing it and clearing it and releasing it than going through it again. We don't need to do that, but we have to have the awareness of the frequency, right? And one of the gifts that we get here as a human in human incarnation is we get the human mind, which just completely scrambles everything. So we have these, these deficits going for us, and we still have to work through all of this stuff. So it's not easy, right? This is not an easy process. So over the next little while, because Spirit's just saying bumpy road, when they say bumpy road, it means we're coming into like another wave, another cycle of clearing, of purging, of, you know, you can call it whatever you want, of the process. We should just call it the process. But really, really important for you, ask yourself, like, how is fear showing up for me? How is fear limiting my abilities? How is fear clouding my judgment? How is fear stopping me in my tracks? How is fear limiting my ability to hold light? Feel into all of that. Feel into it, and just do your best to not think about it, right? Because we want to feel into it. And just having the awareness. See, we can clear and transmute energies just by having the awareness, right? We have the awareness that it's there. We see it for what it is. We're not afraid by it. We're not startled by it. We don't let it stop us in our tracks. And then we can bring the light in. It transmutes, it transforms it, and then we clear it like that. That's how we have to do it. So really feel into all those hidden pockets within your experience, all those hidden, you know, areas in your life, in your experience that feel dense to you, that feel like they're not of light, they're not of love. And do it through the lens of compassion. Do it through the lens of love, however that means for you, whatever that big all-encompassing means for you, right? And remember, everything that we look at, because as soon as we go searching, as soon as we go digging, we start looking outside, right? We start looking at the people, the places, the things all around us. Remind yourself that those are just triggers. They're just triggers. They're not the cause of it. So remember that. So this is not the blame game. We don't go there and sit there and say, well, if I eliminate that person, or if I don't do that, right? That's not how it works. How it works is we go, oh, so if I don't react like that, if I don't bring up that feeling, those thoughts, that reaction to around that situation, then my frequency changes. My experience with that changes. And as we continue to do that kind of work, then our experiences of being hard and difficult and all of that, they start to lessen. That becomes lessen, and there's more and more of the ease, the joy, the flow, the light, right? That's what we're doing. So I really feel like, and you might be, let me know in the comments if you're feeling this, because this energy makes our minds extremely busy. Spirit saying literally scrambles our intuition, our clarity. So know that that's happening. Know that that's happening. If it's happening from the dark, if it's happening from the EMF, if it's happening from the Schumann, from the solar flares, it does not matter. It's happening. So we need to combat that. We need to balance that. And we can do that, right? We have all of the skills and capabilities of doing that. But having that awareness of what something is, so where fear is showing up for you in your life, having the awareness of that instantly brings light to it. And just remember, don't take it and examine it and think about it and figure it out. And we're not doing that. We're just simply having the awareness that it's showing up for us like that we don't like it, that we don't want it, right? It's the same thing. Spirit's showing me, if you put something in your mouth, some food in your mouth, you taste it and it tastes yucky, you spit it out and you go, I'm not going to eat that again, right? You don't sit there and think, well, why did I taste that? And why is that making me feel like that? And I wonder why. We don't do that. It's a waste of time. And we need to use our time wisely right now. So when it comes up for you, when you figure out what the fear is, and let us know in the comments. Remember, we share because it brings lightness to somebody else's suffering. It brings lightness to somebody else's exploration, right? We let everybody know, well, I'm feeling this and it's okay to feel this. I don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed by it. I'm feeling it. I'm an extremely sensitive empath. I have perceptions of energies in this way. My whole energy field perceives things a little bit differently. It doesn't mean there's something's wrong with me or I'm broken. It just means that I'm different, but there's a whole bunch of us that are different. So embrace that and know that, guys, that we are in this together. You don't have to do this by yourself. We're in this together. And I'm sending all of you who are struggling with so much right now, the deepest compassion. That's what we do. Just hold some light today. If you can't hold light for yourself today, if you're feeling so shitty that you cannot hold light for yourself today, hold light for us. Hold light for us. And when you do that, there's this web that gets created, this interconnecting web that gets created with the light. And it supports us. It's like an energetic hammock that supports us and helps us to get through this, to navigate this. So I'm sending you guys huge, huge blessings today.